to the Xbox Series X, which
Xbox.
also had something of a troubling launch today. But first, let's focus on the console itself. And bringing that up. So, like PlayStation, Xbox released two different models for the Xbox Series X. I swear they're just going to keep adding X's onto this thing until it's just
Xbox Series XXXXXX. I'm 20.
We have the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Not confusing in the least.
I get it.
Similar to the PlayStation, they are having a smart delivery system where your Xbox One games can be upscaled or upgraded to the Series X version. There is a wide variety of games that are coming out for it. Unfortunately, Halo is not going to be one of them as it is delayed. But in its place, come on, where are they? Thank you. I see all the hardware. Okay, here we go. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, The Ascent, The Medium, which is probably my most interesting take of those, NBA 2K21, and Watch Dogs Legion. But one thing that the Series X has, as Microsoft as a whole has, that PlayStation does not, is Game Pass. And that is one of the things that really makes me favor Xbox over PlayStation, because as most of us know, with Game Pass, you pay a subscription fee and you have access to a massive library of games spanning almost all console generations and PC titles. So, with all of that said, Son, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on the Xbox Series S, the Xbox Series X and S in general?
Didn't Microsoft have a kerfuffle over their specs presentation with the Series X?
I don't know.
So well, I want to say that like they released their tech specs for the Series X, and a bunch of people were like, "This is barely an improvement over what we have now."
They're probably talking about the Halo demo that they showed, which
no. This was specifically with the console specs. That and among the confusion of the Series X, Series S.
It sounds more like that was about the Halo demo. Like, this is really the most the Series X can give us. I haven't heard anything about the console itself. Anything has been very much restricted to the Halo demo that they showed.
That was the biggest complaint I heard was about the Halo demo. Everybody was griping and complaining about the Halo demo and the tech specs for the actual Halo. That was part of the reason why it got delayed. But that's a little off topic, so
Here, just so I found it's a comparison between the Series X and the One X. About a third of the way down. Now, to your point, while you guys are kind of catching up to what I just posted, one of the things that I have a problem with is what Microsoft did in regards to the Series X versus the S. The X will do 4K, 60 frames per second, fine. The S will do 1440p max. But they're still calling that next gen. So it's a half measure. So the One X that we have today will do a checkerboard upscaling to get you to 4K. So neither of the current Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4s will do true 4K. They can't. They don't have the hardware for it. Even the Pro versions or the X versions. The big thing of next gen consoles was supposed to be 4K 60 or 4K 120 because they have the HDMI 2.1 specification, which means they have a much fatter pipe to kind of get data through. But Microsoft comes out with this thing that looks like a subwoofer for your car, and it only does 1440p. So it's not, the problem is it's not going to be able to, it's not going to do the upscaling to the 4K. It's not going to run at the same speeds. It doesn't make sense why they did it. Unless you're trying to fill that small kind of budget gaming void for those folks that, they've got an Xbox One X or they've got this and they want something to play some of these games. It's a half measure, and I'm not a fan. So I think that would be like if PlayStation did like a PlayStation 4.5 is essentially what they're doing. They're cutting it down and saying, okay, we're only going to give you half the resolution, but still call it next gen. And
so the PS4 Pro,
even still, PlayStation 4 Pro still won't do full 4K. It still does checkerboard rendering. So and then it upscales from that. The only thing that the Xbox One S of the next gen has going for it is that it can do 2K, which is nice because, like, say you've got upgraded monitors. So most people, they game at 1080p. Then you've got those folks that are 1440, and then you've got folks that are 4K. PlayStation 4 Pro says we can output 1080p or 4K. There's no in between. So if you were trying to say, well, I've got a higher res monitor, I want you to output this, it doesn't work. I've actually worked with Epos Vox on YouTube talking about this, saying, hey, if I add a 4K capture card, can I get my PlayStation 4 Pro to output 1440p? He goes, no, it won't work. The monitor will just show blank because it doesn't understand what it's seeing. So by having a 1440p kind of in between is nice for that kind of niche group of people. Now, I don't know if any of the next gen consoles will be able to sit there and say, okay, we can do 4K, but then we'll also be able to do 1440 and 1080. It's probably not, because TVs don't do that. TVs are 1080, 4K, 8K. They don't do these in between resolutions. So it's, like I said, it's an odd choice for Microsoft to come out and do this 1440p console, because who's it for? It's higher res than 1080, but it will probably, to a 1080p TV, it'll only output 1080. So that 1440p does nothing. It's weird. I'm not a fan of the strategy. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's like having a 1350 by 720 monitor resolution. It's weird because it's just in the middle of everything.
It doesn't make any sense aside from just a budget thing. It's a budget next gen console. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
I've heard a lot of takes on it. I don't have a strong opinion on it, mainly because I've got my eyes set on the Series X. I think it's fine as a budget, but if you don't have the $500 or whatever, then yeah, cool. $300, it's $100 cheaper than the digital PS4. I get that. It's nice. I mean, yeah, it isn't as powerful, and I heard some developers worried that it'll hold them back. But part of me is also cautiously optimistic that Microsoft, who is one of the most successful computer companies in the world, knows what they're doing with this. I mean, sure, it could blow up in their faces, and we could probably be laughing about it for years to come. But, I'm cautiously optimistic that they've got something in mind for it. But we will see, I guess.
I just want to make sure that you know what you're saying. You're saying that you're cautiously optimistic about a company that knows what they're doing, and they released two softwares called Windows ME and Windows Vista.
I didn't.
Hey, wait a minute! You also forgot Windows 8.
I did not grow up with Windows computers. I was very much a Macintosh, so okay. I am not. I am kind of a stranger to all the.
Oh well, you missed it. You missed the hell. You missed the hell that those operating systems was. Let me tell you, because I've been on Windows Unix since 3.1, so I've been through it all.
See. Here's the thing. Travis was on Mac back when Mac was actually good.
Okay.
Well, I was in the military, and when I left in 2015, we were only just upgrading to Vista.
That makes sense. Whenever I was in high school, the military was still on Windows 95. And those, actually, no, they're on 98. And I think whenever I left high school, we had just gotten XP.
Well, okay, here's a question, though. So we know Microsoft, the OS side of things, has made a number of mistakes. Xbox, on the other hand, has been doing really well since the rather shaky launch of the Xbox One and the all-encompassing entertainment system rather than primarily game console that they tried to sell. Phil Spencer took over to try to turn things around. Do you guys think that Microsoft, and specifically Xbox, has learned from its mistakes from the Xbox launch?
No. Because look at the pre-orders. Look at the pre-orders. I mean,
the pre-orders sold out.
Yeah, but by bots. I mean, every year it's the same issue with the pre-orders. I mean,
everybody's having the same issue with the pre-orders.
Yeah.
Justin,
they didn't botch it up like PlayStation did. They actually had good communication. They told us when the pre-orders would go live. They did. The biggest issues that really arose were just the fact that people were rushing to the websites, and that's not really on Microsoft more than it is the retailer websites themselves.
I mean, they should have anticipated that to happen. I mean, everybody's stuck at home. No one's going out to do any other stuff.
But again, that's not
Microsoft's the biggest
on the retailers.
It's the biggest software company in the world. They should have, the foresight to tell retailers, hey, look, you need to shore up your stuff because this is going to be massive since everybody's sitting at home. If you want to take part in this, you have to meet these requirements. They can actually do that. They can tell retailer, you have to meet these requirements for this.
All right, let me rephrase the question then. From a marketing side of things, do you think they've learned from their mistakes from the Xbox One launch?
Well, I mean, it certainly got my attention. I mean, I'm actually considering buying an Xbox for the first time since in a while because mainly because of Xbox Anywhere. I think that's going to be a great deal. And I'm not really a fan of the scaled down version either. But PCs have had the option to change video resolution for years, so I don't see why that wouldn't be a thing that they could implement in an Xbox. I mean, for certain games, to change video resolution to 4K, change it lower if you need to for whatever you're using. Yeah, I mean, I see the problem with it, but I mean, the technology's there, so it shouldn't be an issue. But for budget gamers, I think it's great. I mean, I think they did okay this time around. It may just be seen how they handle things going into Christmas, though. Thanksgiving's going to be, and Black Friday's going to be their biggest trial, I think. We'll see how this one goes.
Oh, God, Black Friday, I haven't thought of that at all.
I was going to say,
be nuts during a pandemic.
I was like, speaking of Black Friday, just think about that for a second. And this can be something for another night, but just think of how do some of these stores that are traditionally, we're going to, first of all, some of the stores have sat there and said, we're not going to do Thanksgiving shopping. Fine. Good. I'm totally behind that. I've never done Black Friday shopping.
Yeah, so am I.
But what the hell is Black Friday going to look like this year? Like, are stores going to do that? Are people still going to go out in droves? So
it's going to look like Cyber Monday.
All I know is that I'm glad I'm not working at Walmart
for next time, because I can see that vein in Ross's head kind of going off track again.
What Justin brought up is kind of my worry for the Xbox, because what looks like is going on is that Xbox is the Xbox used to be kind of its own little niche thing of Microsoft, just like this little side project that they had going on. And it seems more and more like Xbox itself as its own kind of culture is being assimilated into Microsoft as a whole. And my worry is, like what Justin said, you have this low-end gaming console, and you have the Microsoft mentality of what Windows 10 is right now. Stop whatever you're doing, we're updating. That's what worries me about this new Xbox, is if they start like OS updating while you're playing video games.
You've never had PlayStation, have you?
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
That happens every couple months with PlayStation, where you boot it up and you get the big blue screen. A system update has been downloaded for the console, and you have to wait half an hour for it to install. So that sort of thing already exists.
And an Xbox basically has a version of Windows. It's a modified version of Windows actually running in the background. Because, I mean, it's Microsoft. Why the hell wouldn't they? So, yeah, that's how they update everything.
Xbox, on the other hand, is actually pretty good at updating in the background.
Yeah.
If there is an update that needs to be had, it doesn't even tell you. It automatically installs it, and it runs the setup and installation in the background after you turn it off. So that's what Windows you don't really have to worry about.
That's what Windows 10 does now. I mean, you only reboot if you have to. Other than that, it just installs normal updates periodically.
This should let you guys know how out of touch with the console thing I am. Like, the last console I owned was the original Wii. So,
you are behind. Anyway,
all right. What about the games? So there wasn't that many launch games for the Series X compared to the PlayStation. But of the ones that you've seen, what interests you most?
Valhalla. The problem with Valhalla is that it's cross-platform. It's launching on all three platforms all at the same time. So I don't think, without their big tentpole Halo franchise, or God, what the hell other franchises does Xbox actually have?
Gears of War.
Fable.
There isn't
a Gears of War without
game library now.
I mean, without a Gears of War tentpole, or without a Halo, I think their launch library is soft in comparison to PlayStation. I think if you were just looking at it saying, all things being equal, if the performance of both consoles are equal, which they are close, and you were just basing it on the merits of the launch library, PlayStation hands down. They've got far more holy shit kind of titles than, I don't know if we can say that, sorry, than Xbox does. Like Valhalla, I would say, Valhalla is a good one, but Valhalla is launching across all of the consoles and PC all at the same time. So it's not something that is exclusive. It's not one of their big names. It just happens to be a big game that's launching everywhere at the same time.
And I fully agree with that assessment. It actually kind of ties into Ross's question that he asked Justin as far as as to whether or not they've learned from their mistakes. If you were to ask me that question, I would say yes and no. Yes, it's not being advertised to us as an all-in-one entertainment. And, it's being very much geared towards gaming, but they don't really have much of a selling point. The biggest selling point for Xbox right now is that it's the true power of gaming, the most powerful console on the planet. This kind of teraflops and other technobabble that I don't know at all what it means. But I mean, it very much comes down. And I am not cautiously optimistic. I am optimistic that Xbox is making steps to improve their. I mean, I am very much looking forward to Halo Infinite. And, and I'm very much looking forward to the revival of Fable. And,
I like it. It's the most powerful console that can't fit, that won't fit in your entertainment center.
All right, Travis, we got about 80% of what you said, but I think we got the gist of it.
I will say this. It looks like from my perspective, it looks like Xbox is, and Microsoft themselves are banking on the gaming pass more than anything, because that's the library. And especially with the news that we're going to be talking about, yeah, that library is just growing.
One thing that I think Xbox has that PlayStation is not is a rather robust library of indie games.
And are we forgetting Flight Simulator?
Yeah.
This edition. I mean, oh my god.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I mean,
But
You guys
Go
and
ahead,
your
Jeff.
simulators.
yeah. But the only problem is if you got this for PC, you're looking at almost 190 gigabyte download for the game. So I'm hoping for Xbox they fix that just a little bit. Just a little.
But like I was saying, the Xbox library of indie games just coming out for the Series X is really impressive. And one of their most recent offerings, Tell Me Why, is really fascinating. I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but I'm really looking forward to giving it a shot. So we've covered PlayStation, we've covered Xbox, and now with the now for the biggest topic of the night.
Oh, here, we need a drum roll here.